Last time we met a company that owns the whole optical river, every step from raw crystal to finished module. Today's company made the opposite bet. It looked at that whole river and said, we're going to own just the single most valuable drop in it, the laser itself, and be the best in the world at that. I'm Maya.
And I'm Theo. Welcome back to the Working Thesis. Today, we're zooming in on Lumentum, ticker LITE. If our last episode was about breadth, this one is about purity, a company that deliberately narrowed itself down to the scarcest, highest value part of the AI optics chain. And the numbers it's putting up because of that focus are genuinely eye-opening. Let's dig in.
Quick, honest note before we dig in. This is just two curious people thinking out loud for learning and for fun. It's not investment advice and never a buy or sell call. So always do your own homework.
The honest part first, like always. This is a learning episode for curiosity and for fun. It is not investment advice, and it's not us telling you to buy or sell anything. We're looking at Lumentum purely as a business, how it's built, what it makes, what the numbers say. A profile, not a pitch.
And the fun is in understanding why a focused strategy can produce such unusual economics. That's the part worth your time, and it outlasts any single day's stock move. So, one sentence. What is Lumentum?
Lumentum is the purest large-scale maker of the laser chips at the heart of AI optics, the indium phosphide lasers that, as we've said, every single network architecture needs. Where Coherent spreads across the whole stack, Lumentum is laser-focused, pun very much intended, on the laser itself, designing and manufacturing the light source that everything else depends on.
So, if the laser is the bottleneck of the whole industry, Lumentum is basically a pure play on the bottleneck.
That's exactly the pitch, a concentrated bet on the single scarcest ingredient. And that focus wasn't an accident. It's the result of a pretty dramatic transformation.
Transformation how?
A few years ago, a big chunk of Lumentum's business was consumer optics, specifically the little lasers inside the face scanner on smartphones. That was a real, sizable business. But it was tied to one giant customer and the ups and downs of phone cycles. So Lumentum made a decision. It wound that consumer business all the way down and pivoted hard into AI, cloud, and networking.
So they walked away from a known business to go all in on optics for data centers.
All in. Today, cloud and networking is around 97% of revenue. That's what we mean by a clean, pure play. There's no big side business muddying the picture. When you look at Lumentum now, you're looking almost entirely at the AI optics laser story. That clarity is rare, and it's deliberate.
Help me hold the two companies side by side. Coherent owns the whole stack. Lumentum owns the laser. Which strategy is better?
And the honest answer is neither. They're just different, and both can win. Picture the optical stack again. Coherent's footprint stretches across the entire row. Breadth is its moat. Lumentum plants its flag on one box, the laser chip. But it's the box with the highest value and the scarcest supply. So Coherent's strength is you can't go around me. Lumentum's strength is I'm the best in the world at the one part you most desperately need.
Breadth gives you resilience. Purity gives you leverage.
That's a great way to say it. And purity, when you're focused on the right part, shows up very loudly in the margins, which is the heart of today's episode.
So, show me the margins. Does the focus actually pay off?
This is the part that genuinely made me sit up. In a recent quarter, revenue was up about 90% year over year. Operating margin hit a record, north of 32%. But here's the single most important number in this whole episode. Lumentum describes the supply-demand imbalance for its lasers as over 30%.
Meaning, the world wants more than 30% more of their lasers than the entire industry can physically produce.
Which is the textbook definition of pricing power. When everyone needs your part, and nobody, including you, can make enough, you're not negotiating on price. You're setting it. A 30% plus shortage in your single product is about as clean a pricing power signal as exists in hardware. That's what owning the bottleneck looks like when it shows up on the income statement.
Is Lumentum positioned for the next architecture, or just today's?
Designed right into the next one. Remember, co-packaged optics, CPO, moves the optics inside the switch, but a laser runs hot and can fail, and you don't want to throw away a whole expensive switch when a laser dies. So the leading CPO designs pull the laser back out into a small, field-replaceable module called an external laser source, an ELS. And Lumentum is building exactly those ELS products that the big CPO roadmaps call for.
So they're not just writing today's modules, they're written into the blueprint for what comes next.
Written into the blueprint. That's the difference between a company that's correlated with a trend and one that's designed into it. And that's the framework point we keep returning to. When the architecture shifts, does it enhance or replace a company's value? For a laser chip maker, CPO clearly enhances, because every version of CPO from every camp still needs the laser. So Lumentum sits on the favored side of the change.
And is there outside confirmation like there was for Coherent?
The same loud one. On that single day in early 2026, when NVIDIA invested about $2 billion into Coherent, it also put about $2.02 billion into Lumentum. Same day, both laser makers. The biggest customer in the world effectively bought a piece of both of its key laser suppliers at once. When the smartest buyer hedges across the two Purest laser names, that tells you where it thinks the scarce must-have ingredient lies.
Ground us in the financials. Just the facts.
Trailing revenue is around $2.5 billion, growing fast. Operating income is about $250 million, and notably, the company just crossed back into solid profitability as the AI ramp kicked in. The market values the whole company at roughly $62 billion. So it's smaller than Coherent in revenue, but the market awards it a big valuation because of the purity and the pricing power we just walked through.
Which brings us to the catch, I assume.
It always does. And here, it's a big one.
So what's the honest catch?
Valuation. Of the optics names, Lumentum is the most expensive. Its stock trades at something like 146 times trailing earnings. Now, fast-growing companies deserve high multiples, but a number like that means an enormous amount of future success is already priced in. There's no margin for disappointment. On top of that, the company is actively managing some debt maturities, and its transceiver side margins still lag a more diversified player like Coherent.
So the very purity that makes the pricing power so clean also makes the stock the most sensitive to any wobble.
Exactly the trade-off. The clearest bottleneck and the best margins, at the highest price and the least room for error. We say that as a neutral fact, not a verdict. It's simply the shape of this particular bet. Highest clarity, highest expectations.
So on our usual bottleneck test, real bottleneck or theme correlation?
Lumentum scores about as cleanly as it gets on the bottleneck itself. A 30% plus shortage in its single product, record margins designed into the next architecture, and validated by the biggest customer's own checkbook. If you wanted a textbook example of pricing power in AI optics, this is it. The asterisk isn't the business, it's the price the market is charging you for that clarity, and the fact that a pure play has fewer places to hide if the cycle turns.
Purest bottleneck, priciest entry. Both true at once.
Both true at once. That tension is the whole episode in a sentence.
Give me the full other side, so we're fair.
Two cautions, and they rhyme with last time. 1. A wonderful business is not a safe stock at any price, and at a very rich multiple in a crowded, over-owned trade, the stock can fall hard even if the laser thesis is dead right. Being the purest bottleneck doesn't make the share price safe. 2. This is a cyclical industry, and a pure play feels the cycle more, not less. Fewer other businesses to cushion a downturn. The way you actually learn who's right isn't today's tape. It's the earnings reports as the next couple of years of capacity arrive.
Curiosity and patience, not certainty.
Every time. We're mapping the business, not calling the stock.
So, Lumentum in one idea. It's the purest bet in AI optics. It walked away from consumer gadgets to focus entirely on the one scarce part everyone needs, the laser, and the proof is right there in a 30% plus shortage and record margins. The reward of that purity is the clearest pricing power in the group. The price of it is the richest valuation and the least room for error.
And set next to Coherent. It's a perfect study in two strategies. Breadth, own the whole river, versus purity, own the single most valuable drop. Both are real ways to sit on a bottleneck. They just carry different risks. Learning to see that difference is the entire point of these deep dives.
This was education and entertainment only, a profile of how a business works, never advice, and never a position anyone holds. Optics is fast-moving and cyclical, and the picture could look different a year from now. Thanks for getting curious with us.
Own the scarcest drop. Just know what you're paying for it. We'll see you on the next one. Okay, that's our episode. The honest goal here is simple. Hold a few ideas about the world and keep checking whether they're still true.
Together, out loud, a little at a time. If you spot where we've got it wrong, please tell us. That's how this gets better. See you next time.